For the first time this season, the Timberwolves lose back-to-back games, this one being a home loss by 11 to the New Orleans Pelicans, who were on the second night of a back-to-back. And although it was an 11-point loss, this was much more of a 20-plus point loss, discounting garbage time. And although it was a back-to-back for them, the previous game was a throttling of the Brooklyn Nets, where they barely even played their starters. And the Pelicans are a great team. They're fifth in the West right now despite heavy injuries early in the season. And they have the best player on the planet, as long as he's playing the Timberwolves, because Zion Williamson just smacks us every single night. There is nothing that we've been able to do to stop him the recent times Zion has matched up against us. And this is our fourth matchup against the Pelicans this season, and our final, thankfully, unless we see him after the season. And Zion missed the first two. Those were the two that we won. They had heavy injuries. And the last two they've had him, and it's been ugly. He's been dominant. And that's become a serious theme with this team, is that we have been incapable of stopping, especially bigs. They've had a lot of big nights on us. We saw it in our last loss as well. Julius Randle with, I think it was 38 or 39 points in that one. We had the 51-point game out of Joel Embiid. Anthony Davis tossing us around. We are getting seriously dominated by these bigs, and it's got me worried on a grander scheme with things, that we don't have enough scheme versatility. We seem to really let players kind of just see the same thing over and over. We don't like to send double teams. And we just kind of are like, Rudy, you got this one. Jaden McDaniels, you got this one. We don't mix things up much. And then you see just these gigantic nights where people can kind of play one-on-one or just do their thing, not have a diverse look at different defenses. And it seems to be easy at a point. I mean, it's a strategy to go with, but you want to have multiple strategies. I know Joe Mazzulla talked a lot about needing a curveball after last season, and that being something that he needed to add kind of in the playoffs. And that's what I'm looking to more for this one, because I got to remain appreciative that we are the 1 seed right now, and that we've had a great start to this season. So I don't want to get spoiled with that, but I also want to look a little bit farther and see what we can do long term with this team. And that's where I'm trying to approach this one. But that 1 seed, it's not feeling nearly as quantisk as it has early on here, as the Thunder and the Nuggets are just 1 game behind us, and we have 4 extremely difficult road matchups in a row here. So we might be losing that after over a month of holding on to that gorgeous 1 seed. I don't have a lot of positives to pull from this game in particular. It was a pretty tough watch. Can mention Jaden McDaniels had some really wonderful footwork on some of his finishes. You see the offensive skill in his game. The consistency, still not really there, and the comfortability, which I've talked about in these videos before. Side note, I'm really happy Jose Alvarado is just healthy and playing basketball again. I think he's just great for the game. And I was watching a lot of this one with my dad, and it's just fun explaining like his shtick and the crouching, sneaking, getting steals. You didn't get a successful one in this game, which I would actually be happy about because I get so pissed with the turnovers on this team. And that's been a trend with us that's been so horrible. However, the quantity of turnovers was actually a lot better in this one. I've been saying we need J-Mac back. He got rewarded for his good game last game with 17 minutes, I believe, in this one. Didn't shoot the ball well, but 4 assists, 0 turnovers, a steal, and 2 offensive rebounds, which was a struggle for us. We would get out-rebounded by, was it 13 or 11? I think it's 13 I'm going to go with, but I'll represent on the screen if that is actually correct. Mike Conley, also 9 assists, 0 turnovers. But where the turnovers really came in is Anthony Edwards, who I want to say, this dude's a blessing. His scoring is incredible. It's really difficult for him to score right now, too, with how much teams are pre-jacking the paint and denying anything in that realm. But it doesn't matter to him. He's still averaging over 30-plus points his last 10 games, had 35 tonight. But it's something that we need to monitor and that he needs to improve. 6 turnovers in this game out of him, as well as we had 2 shot clock violations that were both kind of on him. So that's more about 8, that real number. I also wish Mike Conley would have had a little bit more offensive involvement. People are cracking down on the Rudy alley-oops a lot. and he was kind of a non-factor in this game on offense and defense. He has not looked like the early season just monster that he was. We're in a tough stretch of the season. Hopefully that's it. Hopefully we can kind of snag back our mojo, but it's a little bit of a tough stretch, and we've got 4 more tough ones. Hoping we can stabilize. Hope is not lost. It just hasn't looked pretty for a bit here, and it's the first time we've lost 2 in a row, so thankfully we're not collapsing as of yet, but certainly things to figure out. We've got big tests coming up. Next one at Houston. Peace out. Hopefully we don't have a problem. I hate that joke. Bye.